Imagine Tomorrow, How Being Rich Changes Everything, a motivational audiobook by the Protocols of Astrian. Before we start, if you ever feel like you are walking through fog alone, hit subscribe and let these audiobooks be your quiet companion through every season. There's a version of you that lives inside your head that wakes up slowly with sunlight coming through the window, not because an alarm screamed at them to get up. That version drinks coffee, slowly reads the news without rushing, and actually tastes the food they eat instead of shoveling it down before running out the door. That version exists, I promise you, and they are not a fantasy or a distant dream that will never come true. The only difference between that version and the version reading these words right now is a series of choices, beliefs, and actions that have not yet been put into motion. This book is not a lecture from someone who thinks they are better than you or has all the answers figured out perfectly. This book is a conversation between two people who know that life can feel heavy and overwhelming, but also know it does not have to stay that way forever. We are going to walk this path together step by step, and by the end you will see that the door to a different life has been right in front of you the whole time. All you have to do is reach out and turn the handle with courage and curiosity in your heart. We are going to imagine tomorrow together in vivid detail, so real that you can almost reach out and touch it with your own hands. We are going to picture what life looks like when the money stress fades into the background like a bad dream that loses its power in the morning light. But here is the secret I have to tell you before we start this journey. Being rich changes everything, but not in the way the movies and magazines show you with flashing lights and empty smiles. It does not turn you into a different person who suddenly has no problems or worries ever again in their entire life. It turns you into the person you always were, just without the chains that have been holding you back from flying. It removes the weight that keeps you small and quiet and scared of reaching for more than what you have right now. It opens doors you did not even know were locked, and reveals paths you could not see through the fog of survival mode. So take a breath, get comfortable, and let your mind wander freely, because we are about to build a future so bright you will wonder why you did not start building it sooner. Chapter 1. The Quiet Morning, Waking Up Without an Alarm. Do you remember the last time you woke up naturally, without anything dragging you out of a deep and peaceful sleep? Not because a baby cried or a dog barked or that terrible phone sound shattered your dreams like glass hitting concrete. I mean the kind of waking up where your eyes flutter open slowly because your body has decided it has slept enough and is ready to greet the day gently. That feeling is rare for most people, almost like a forgotten memory from childhood, when weekends stretched forever and time moved at a different speed entirely. But imagine if that was your every single day, waking up not to demands, but to possibility stretching before you like an open road. Imagine opening your eyes and the first thought in your head is not about being late or about the mountain of work waiting to bury you alive. That is the first gift that real wealth gives you, the gift of your own rhythm, the gift of starting your day on your own terms with your own permission. That quiet morning sets the tone for everything that follows and changes the entire texture of your existence from the very first moment of light. Being rich means your time belongs to you, and nobody else, not your boss, not your clients, not anyone who thinks they have a claim on your hours and minutes. Right now, you probably sell your time to someone else, trading 8, 9, 10 hours a day for a paycheck that covers the bills and maybe leaves a little left over for fun on the weekends. But when you build real wealth, you stop selling your hours completely and start owning them like precious jewels that cannot be bought or stolen from you. You wake up and decide what matters today based on your own desires, not someone else's demands or deadlines looming over your head. Maybe you work on something you love because you want to, not because you have to in order to survive another month. Maybe you rest because your body is telling you it needs recovery, and you finally have the freedom to listen to it carefully. Maybe you take a long walk and think about nothing at all, just letting your mind wander where it wants without purpose or pressure attached to it. The choice becomes yours completely, and that freedom changes everything about how you experience each new day that dawns. Think about what that morning would actually look like in real life, not just in vague dreams that disappear when you open your eyes. You stretch out in bed without that tiny knot of anxiety in your stomach that has become such a familiar companion over the years. You get up when you are ready and walk to a kitchen that is peaceful and calm, with sunlight streaming through clean windows onto surfaces that bring you joy just to look at. There is no rush to shovel food into your mouth while checking emails with one hand and tying shoes with the other frantically. There is just you, your thoughts, and the quiet possibility of a day that is completely yours to design however you see fit in the moment. That morning sets the tone for everything that follows, like the first note of a song, determining the melody that will play throughout the rest of the day. A peaceful start leads to a peaceful day, and a peaceful day leads to a peaceful life built one calm morning at a time. It all begins with that first quiet breath upon waking before the world has a chance to demand anything from you at all. The people who wake up to alarms every single day are not lazy or bad or somehow less worthy of peace than anyone else walking this earth. They are simply trapped in a system that values their output more than their humanity and their productivity more than their peace of mind. Wealth breaks that trap completely, not by making you better than those people, but by giving you the one thing they are desperately chasing without even knowing it fully. That thing is control over your own schedule, the ability to decide when you work and when you rest, and when you simply exist without purpose or pressure attached to your moments. When you have that control, you stop measuring life in Mondays and Fridays and start measuring it in moments that actually matter deeply to your soul. You start watching the sunrise instead of sleeping through it, because you have to be at work before the sun even thinks about showing its face. You start having real conversations with people you love before the world gets loud and demands attention from everyone equally. You start living in time instead of racing against it like a competitor you can never truly defeat in the end. I want you to close your eyes right now and picture that morning as vividly as you can, with all your senses engaged fully. Feel the softness of the pillow under your head and the weight of warm blankets keeping you comfortable and safe from the cold. Hear the silence, or maybe the birds outside singing their morning songs without caring about what time it is on human clocks. Notice that there is no rush, no panic, no dread about the day ahead hiding in the corners of your mind waiting to attack. That feeling is available to you right now, not as a distant fantasy, but as a real destination you can walk toward with purpose and determination. It is not a fantasy reserved for lottery winners or inherited trust funds or people who got lucky while you were working hard with nothing to show for it. It is a destination you can walk toward one step at a time, one choice at a time, one day at a time, until you finally arrive there exhausted but victorious. The path starts with believing you deserve that peace, and then building the resources to protect it with everything you have inside you. This book is going to show you how to build that morning step by step, chapter by chapter, until it becomes your reality, not just your dream. But first, you have to want it badly enough to change the patterns and habits that have kept you stuck for so long without progress. You have to look at your current mornings, the rushed, stressful, anxious mornings that leave you exhausted before the day even really begins. You have to decide that you are done with them, completely finished with surviving, and finally ready to start living with intention and purpose guiding your way. That decision, made right here in this very chapter, is the spark that lights the fire that will warm you for the rest of your life. The quiet morning is waiting for you patiently, like an old friend who never gave up hope that you would eventually come home. All you have to do is decide you are willing to walk toward it and never look back at the life you are leaving behind forever. Chapter 2: The Safety Net. Why What If Stops Being Scary. There is a question that lives in the back of every person's mind who is struggling financially and cannot seem to get ahead no matter how hard they try. It is the question you try to ignore, but always find you again in the middle of the night when sleep refuses to come and rescue you from your thoughts. What if something goes wrong that I cannot handle with the resources I currently have available to me right now? What if the car breaks down and I have no way to get to work and make the money I need to survive another week? What if someone gets sick and the bills pile up faster than I can possibly pay them with my current income and savings? What if the job disappears and I have nothing to fall back on while I search for something new in a world that does not wait for anyone? That question sits there like a heavy blanket pressing down on your chest and making it hard to breathe easy or think clearly about anything else at all. It steals your peace long before any actual disaster ever strikes because your mind lives in the future instead of resting in the present moment where you actually exist. It is the ghost of a future that has not even happened yet haunting you today and stealing the joy that should be yours right now in this moment. When you build wealth, that ghost slowly fades away like morning mist burning off as the sun rises higher in the sky above you. Not because bad things stop happening, because they will always happen to everyone regardless of how much money they have in the bank, but because you stop being afraid of them completely when you know you have resources waiting to catch you when you fall. You have a cushion, a reserve, a pile of money sitting there quietly waiting to protect you when life tries to knock you down unexpectedly. That cushion changes everything about how you walk through the world with confidence instead of fear, guiding your steps each day. You stand taller because you are not carrying the weight of constant worry on your shoulders like a heavy backpack full of rocks. You breathe deeper because your chest is not constricted by the anxiety of what might happen tomorrow or next week or next year. You smile easier because you know deep down in your bones that whatever comes you have the resources to handle it without falling apart completely. Think about what that actually feels like in daily life when the safety net is firmly in place beneath you at all times. You are driving and hear a strange noise from the engine that could mean expensive repairs are coming your way soon. Instead of your stomach dropping and your mind racing through all the bills you cannot pay this month, your response is calm and measured and completely free of panic. You simply think about getting it checked out when you have time, knowing that whatever it costs, you can handle it without stress or sacrifice elsewhere. You get a medical bill in the mail for a procedure you needed but worried about affording beforehand. Instead of panic and shame and avoidance, you look at it calmly and figure out the best way to handle it without losing sleep or peace of mind. The emergency becomes just an inconvenience, not a crisis that threatens to destroy everything you have built with your hard work. That shift from crisis to inconvenience is one of the most underrated gifts that money can give you over time. I remember talking to someone who grew up poor and later became wealthy through years of consistent effort and smart decisions along the way. They told me the biggest change was not the house or the car or any of the material things money could buy them eventually. It was the disappearance of that low-level hum of anxiety that had been playing in their brain since childhood without them even noticing it fully. They did not even realize the hum was there until it stopped one day and they suddenly noticed the silence that replaced it completely. That is what we are building toward together in this book, a mind that is quiet because it knows it is protected from the worst that life can throw at it. A heart that is light because it knows it can handle whatever comes next without breaking under the pressure of circumstances. That peace is worth more than any luxury you could ever buy with your money, because it touches every moment of every day for the rest of your life. It is the foundation upon which everything else is built securely and safely for the long haul ahead. The safety net does not just protect you, it protects the people you love most in this world who depend on you for stability and support. When you have resources, you become the person your family turns to when they are in trouble and need help getting back on their feet again. You become the solution instead of another person needing help from others who may or may not have the capacity to give it freely. That role changes how you see yourself completely because you stop being the victim of circumstances beyond your control. You start being the anchor for everyone around you, the stable force that keeps the ship from drifting into dangerous waters during storms. It is a beautiful feeling to know that your existence makes the world more stable for the people who matter most to you in this life. Your presence becomes a gift that keeps on giving through every challenge and difficulty that comes your family's way over time. You become the person they count on, and that responsibility fills you with purpose instead of weight. Building that net takes time and discipline and consistent effort, but it starts with a single decision made right here and right now in this moment. You decide today that you are going to put something aside, even if it is small, even if it hurts, even if it means sacrificing something you want right now for something you need later. You start building a wall between yourself and the what-ifs that have haunted you for so long without mercy or relief. Every dollar you save is a brick in that wall, getting stronger and taller with each contribution you make over time. Every month you add to it is another layer of protection against the storms that will inevitably come your way eventually. And one day you will wake up and realize the wall is complete and solid and strong enough to withstand anything. The what-ifs are still out there lurking in the shadows, but they cannot reach you anymore because the wall stands between you and them. They bounce off the wall and disappear, leaving you standing safely in the middle of your own peace that you built with your own hands over time. Chapter 3. Your Body, Your Rules, the Wealth of Health. There is a cruel joke that life plays on people who are struggling financially and cannot catch a break no matter what they try. When you are young and broke, you have energy and vitality, but no money to do anything with it or enjoy it fully. When you finally get money later in life, your body is often too worn out and damaged to enjoy the freedom you worked so hard to achieve. The years of stress, the years of cheap food, the years of ignoring pain, because you could not afford a doctor, they all add up like interest on a loan you forgot you took out. Your body keeps score silently, and eventually it presents the bill for all the abuse and neglect it endured along the way. That bill often comes due right when you are finally ready to enjoy the life you built with your blood and sweat and tears over decades. The timing is cruel and unfair, but it is also avoidable if you start treating your body differently right now today. You do not have to be another victim of this cruel joke if you decide to prioritize your health alongside your wealth from this moment forward. Being rich changes that equation completely because it allows you to treat your body like the temple they always told you it should be in church and school. You can afford the good food, the fresh vegetables, the quality meat that actually nourishes you instead of just filling you up with empty calories. You can afford the gym membership that you actually use, the personal trainer who keeps you accountable, the yoga classes that calm your mind and strengthen your body simultaneously. You can afford to go to the doctor when something feels wrong instead of waiting until it becomes an emergency that costs 10 times more to fix badly. You can afford the medications and treatments that keep you healthy without choosing between your health and your rent each month. You can afford the time to rest and recover because your schedule is yours to control, not someone else's to dictate completely. All of these things add up to a body that serves you well for decades, instead of falling apart when you need it most. Think about what it means to never ignore pain again like you have done so many times before in your life already. Right now, if your back hurts, or your knee twinges, or your head pounds, you probably just push through it because you cannot afford the time off work. You tell yourself it will go away even though deep down you know it probably will not without attention and care. Wealth gives you the power to address problems when they are small and manageable before they become big and devastating over time. That simple ability can add years to your life and life to your years in ways that are impossible to measure with money alone. It is the difference between managing decline as you age and actively investing in your own vitality for the long haul ahead. Small problems fixed early stay small, while small problems ignored become big problems that steal your quality of life eventually. You deserve to live in a body that does not hurt all the time, and wealth can help you get there step by step. Sleep is another part of health that money touches directly in ways most people never even consider or appreciate fully. When you are not worried about bills and survival, when you have a comfortable bed in a quiet room, when your mind is not racing through financial problems at 3 in the morning, you actually rest deeply. Real rest, the kind that repairs your body and resets your brain, and prepares you for another day of living fully and completely. That rest makes you sharper and happier and more resilient during the day when challenges come your way unexpectedly. It creates an upward spiral where good health leads to better decisions, which leads to more wealth, which leads to even better health over time. The cycle feeds itself positively instead of the negative spiral that keeps so many people trapped in poor health and poverty simultaneously. Sleep becomes your friend and ally instead of the enemy that never seems to come when you need it most desperately. I want you to imagine growing old with grace and strength instead of frailty and pain like so many people accept as inevitable. Picture yourself at 70 or 80 years old, still walking easily, still thinking clearly, still able to travel and explore the world around you fully. Picture yourself playing with grandkids without needing to sit down after 5 minutes because your body cannot keep up with their energy and joy. Picture yourself waking up each morning, excited for the day, instead of dreading the pain that awaits you when you try to get out of bed. That version of you exists because you made choices along the way to protect your body from unnecessary damage and decline. You did not sacrifice your health on the altar of work and productivity like so many people do without thinking. You treated your physical self as the most important investment you would ever make because it truly is above all else. You can have all the money in the world, but without health, you cannot enjoy a penny of it ever. This chapter is your permission slip to prioritize your body starting right now, not when you have more money, not when things settle down, but today in this moment. Drink more water because your cells are crying out for hydration. They are not getting from coffee and soda alone. Take a walk because your muscles need movement to stay strong, and your mind needs fresh air to stay clear and focused. Go to bed earlier because your brain needs sleep to process everything you learned and experienced during the day fully. Schedule that checkup you have been avoiding because the fear of what they might find is worse than knowing and addressing it directly. These small acts of self-care are not just about feeling better today, they are investments in the future you that is waiting to be born. Every healthy choice you make is another brick in the foundation of a long, vibrant life, where you actually get to enjoy the wealth you are building slowly. Your body carried you through the hard times without complaint or reward, and now it is time to repay that debt with interest and gratitude. Chapter 4: The Gift of I Love You, Relationships Without the Edge. Money is the number one thing couples fight about, and everyone knows this deep down without needing statistics to prove it to them. Everyone accepts this as normal, but nobody really talks about why it happens so consistently across all kinds of relationships. It is because money is never really about money when you dig down to the root of the problem underneath the surface completely. It is about security and freedom and respect and power, and all the things that money represents in our society and culture. When you fight about a purchase or a bill, you are actually fighting about what that purchase represents, or what that bill threatens to take away from you. Below the surface there is fear and shame, and the feeling of not being enough for the person you love most in this world. The money itself is just the surface distraction hiding the real issues that need attention and healing between two people. Until those deeper issues are addressed, the fights will keep coming no matter how much money you have or do not have in the bank. When you remove the financial stress, you remove the fuel for those fights that have poisoned so many relationships over time. Imagine a relationship where money is not a loaded topic that everyone tiptoes around carefully to avoid explosions, where you can talk openly about spending and saving without either person getting defensive or shutting down completely, where you can make plans for the future without one person secretly wondering if those plans are even possible given your current financial reality. That kind of relationship is not a fantasy or a dream. It is the natural result of building enough wealth that money stops being a daily concern. It becomes just a tool you both use together to build the life you want, instead of a source of constant conflict between you. The energy you used to spend fighting about money can now go into loving each other and building dreams together instead. That shift changes everything about how your relationship feels and functions on a daily basis for the better. Think about what that freedom does for intimacy between two people who love each other deeply, but have been stressed by money. When you are not exhausted from worrying about bills and survival, when you are not resentful about who spent what and why, when you are not hiding purchases or justifying needs to avoid conflict, you have so much more energy for each other completely. You can actually be present in the moment with your partner instead of distracted by financial anxiety running in the background constantly. You can listen to your partner's dreams without immediately thinking about how to pay for them or if they are even possible realistically. You can hold hands and walk through life as true partners instead of two people, just trying to survive the storm together separately. That partnership is what relationships are supposed to feel like when they are working at their best for both people involved. Now consider your children if you have them or plan to have them someday in the future when you are ready. Kids are like emotional sponges, soaking up everything that happens around them, whether you want them to or not completely. They soak up the stress in the house, the tension between parents, the whispered arguments they were not supposed to hear at all. They feel the tension at the dinner table, even when no one is saying anything directly about what is wrong between you. They learn early that money is a source of fear and conflict, and something to worry about constantly without relief. When you build wealth, you break that cycle completely for your children and future generations after you. Your children grow up in a home where money is just a resource, not a source of trauma that follows them into adulthood. They learn healthy attitudes about finances because they watch you handle money with confidence and peace instead of panic and desperation daily. That gift keeps giving for generations after you are gone from this earth completely. Even your friendships change dramatically when you are financially stable and not struggling to survive month to month. You stop being the friend who always has to say no to dinner plans because you cannot afford to go out with everyone. You stop being the friend who needs to borrow money and feels shame every time you see the person who helped you. You stop being the friend who avoids social gatherings because you cannot afford to participate or contribute to the group fully. Instead, you become the friend who can show up fully present without distraction or worry about what things cost. You become the friend who can treat someone to lunch just because you want to, not because you owe them anything at all. You become the friend who can be generous without keeping score or expecting anything in return ever. That generosity of spirit is only possible when your own cup is full enough to share with others freely without holding back at all. The people you love deserve the best version of you, not the stressed, resentful, scared version that shows up most days right now. The best version of you is calm and present and able to give love freely without the edge of financial anxiety cutting into every interaction. That version is inside you, waiting to come out and be seen by everyone who matters most in your life completely. Building wealth is not just about you and your comfort, it is about them and their experience of being loved by you fully. It is about creating an environment where love can flourish without the poison of money stress killing it slowly over time. It is about becoming the partner, parent, and friend you always wanted to be, but could not because you were too busy surviving. That is the real gift you give to everyone who matters in your life when you build wealth successfully. That is the gift that keeps on giving long after the money is spent and gone forever. Chapter 5. The Front Door, Coming Home to Peace. There is a feeling you get when you walk into a space that truly belongs to you completely without question or reservation. It is a feeling of exhaling deeply, of dropping your shoulders, of finally being able to be yourself without performing for anyone at all. For most people, that feeling is rare and fleeting because their home is not a sanctuary at all. Their home is just another place with problems waiting to be solved and bills waiting to be paid eventually. The leaky faucet they cannot fix because calling a plumber costs too much money right now. The room they cannot furnish because furniture is expensive, and there are always other priorities competing for limited resources. The neighborhood noise they cannot escape because moving costs money they do not have saved up yet. The home becomes another source of stress instead of the refuge it should be for the people living inside it daily. When you have wealth, your home transforms into something else entirely different from what it was before. It becomes the place where the world stops, and you start being yourself without any masks or pretenses at all. You walk through your front door, and the chaos of the day stays outside where it belongs, completely separated from your peace. Inside, there is quiet and comfort and beauty that feeds your soul instead of draining it slowly over time. This is not about having a mansion or fancy decorations that impress people who visit you occasionally. It is about having a space that fits you perfectly, that supports your peace, that asks nothing from you, except that you show up and be present fully. It is about coming home to a place that loves you back as much as you love being inside it every day. That feeling is worth more than any luxury you could ever buy with your money, honestly. Think about the small details that make a home feel good to live in day after day without noticing them consciously. The comfortable chair that fits your body exactly, supporting you in all the right places without causing pain. The lighting that does not hurt your eyes or create harsh shadows that make the space feel unwelcoming and cold. The temperature that is always just right because you can afford to run the heat or AC without worrying about the bill arriving later. The bed that holds you like a cloud at the end of a long day when your body is tired and needs rest desperately. These things cost money, yes, but they are not luxuries, they are necessities for a peaceful mind, honestly. When you are not constantly irritated by your environment, you have more patience and creativity and love to give to the world outside. Your home becomes the foundation upon which you build everything else in your life successfully. Now imagine having a space that actually restores you instead of draining you further after a long day of work and stress. A corner where you can read without interruption from anyone or anything demanding your attention constantly. A yard where you can feel the grass under your feet and remember that you are part of nature, not separate from it completely. A kitchen where you actually want to cook healthy meals because everything works and everything is beautiful to look at daily. That space is not just a house, it is a battery that recharges you every single day without you even noticing it happening. You leave it full in the morning and return to it empty at night, knowing it will fill you up again by tomorrow morning. That cycle of restoration is essential for anyone trying to do big things in the world successfully over time. Without it, you burn out and crash and wonder why you cannot keep going like you used to before. Your home also becomes a place where others feel safe and welcome and loved when they visit you regularly. When you have a peaceful sanctuary, you can invite people into it without shame or hesitation holding you back. Friends can come over and relax completely without feeling like they are imposing or bothering you at all. Family can gather without the tension of cramped spaces or broken things, reminding everyone of what is missing. Your children's friends will want to be at your house because it feels good there, warm and welcoming and safe completely. You become the person who provides warmth and safety for others, which is one of the most satisfying roles a human being can play in life. Your peace becomes a gift that keeps on giving to everyone who crosses your threshold daily. That is the kind of home worth building with intention and care over time. Building that home takes time and intention and patience with yourself and the process along the way. It is not about buying the biggest place you can afford to impress people who do not really matter in your life. It is about creating the right place for who you are and who you want to become in the future ahead. Every improvement you make, every repair you complete, every piece of furniture you choose is a statement that you matter deeply. That your peace matters more than anything else you could spend your money on instead. That you deserve to come home to a place that loves you back as much as you love being inside it daily. That statement, repeated over and over, changes how you see yourself and how you move through the world confidently. It reminds you every single day that you are worth the effort it takes to build something beautiful for yourself alone. Chapter 6: The Heavy Tray, Why You Stop People Pleasing. Most of us spend our lives carrying a heavy tray filled with the expectations and demands of everyone around us constantly. On that tray are the expectations of our parents who wanted us to be something specific from the very beginning. The demands of our bosses who always want more than we have to give them regularly without rest. the needs of our friends who lean on us for support, even when we have nothing left to give them freely. The opinions of everyone we meet who judge us without knowing our story or what we carry daily. We carry this tray everywhere, terrified that if we drop it, people will stop liking us completely. Terrified that without the tray, we have no value or purpose in this world at all. We say yes when we want to say no and smile, when we want to scream and show up when we want to rest peacefully. All because we are afraid that without the tray, we are nothing at all to anyone, including ourselves sometimes. Money changes this dynamic in a way that is almost magical when you experience it for yourself finally. When you have financial independence, you stop needing people's approval to survive and thrive in this world completely. You do not need to keep the job that drains you because you have savings to fall back on while you find something better. You do not need to stay in friendships that exhaust you because you are not relying on anyone for a place to stay or a ride to work. You do not need to impress anyone at all because your worth is no longer tied to what you can do for them constantly. The tray slowly gets lighter over time, and eventually, you can just set it down completely and walk away free. You realize that the people who mattered never wanted you to carry it in the first place honestly. The ones who did want you to carry it were using you, and you finally have the strength to see that clearly now. Think about the power of saying no without guilt or explanation or apology attached to it at all. Someone asks you to do something you do not want to do, and instead of making up an elaborate excuse, you simply say no thank you and move on calmly. There is no anxiety about how they will react, no over-explaining to make them feel better, no lying to soften the blow at all. Just a clean, clear boundary that protects your time and your energy from being drained by people who do not respect them. That ability is rare and precious in this world, where everyone wants something from everyone else constantly. It is only available to people who have built enough resources that they do not need to beg for scraps of approval from anyone. They have their own approval now, and that is more than enough to sustain them completely. They walk through the world differently because they answer to themselves alone finally. Now consider the people who will still be in your life after you put the tray down completely and walk away from it. They are not the ones who needed you to carry something for them in order to stay close to you. They are the ones who loved you regardless of what you could provide or do for them ever. Those relationships become deeper and richer because they are based on genuine connection, instead of obligation or need driving them. You get to experience what real friendship and real love actually feel like without the transaction hiding underneath the surface. That clarity is worth more than gold because it shows you who truly belongs in your life forever. The people who stay after you stop carrying the tray are your real tribe worth holding onto tightly. The ones who leave were never really yours to begin with, and their departure is a gift of clarity for you. You also stop people-pleasing yourself, which is the most important relationship of all to heal completely. The inner voice that tells you that you are not enough, that you need to be more, do more, have more to be worthy of love. That voice gets quieter when you are financially secure because you finally have proof that you can provide for yourself adequately. You stop chasing an impossible standard that was never realistic or achievable by anyone ever. You finally realize that you are already worthy of love and respect exactly as you are right now in this moment. The money just gives you the space to see that truth clearly without the fog of desperation clouding your vision constantly. You become your own best friend instead of your harshest critic, and that changes everything about how you live. You start treating yourself with the same kindness you used to reserve for others who did not deserve it as much as you do. This freedom from the tray is one of the most underrated benefits of wealth that nobody talks about openly enough. It does not show up in bank statements or investment portfolios or retirement accounts at all, but it shows up in every interaction you have with every person you meet along your journey. It shows up in your posture and your voice, and the calm way you move through the world without rushing or panicking. People sense it immediately when they are around you without knowing exactly what is different about you. They sense that you cannot be manipulated or bought or controlled by anyone ever again in your life. And instead of being threatened by that, the right people will be drawn to it naturally and magnetically. They will want to learn how to set down their own trays too, and you can show them how it is done by example. Chapter 7. The Sandbox Playtime for Grown-ups. Do you remember what it felt like to play when you were a child without any cares in the world at all? There was no goal, no purpose, no productivity required for play to be valuable and enjoyable completely. You just played because it was fun, because your body wanted to move, and your imagination wanted to run wild and free. That feeling gets lost somewhere along the way to adulthood when responsibilities pile up and time becomes scarce. We trade play for work, fun for responsibility, joy for obligation, without even noticing it happening slowly. We become serious people doing serious things, and somewhere in the process, we forget how to simply enjoy being alive. We forget that play is not just for children, but for everyone who wants to feel fully human and alive inside. We forget that the ability to play is a sign of health, not immaturity, as we were taught to believe falsely. Wealth gives you permission to find that sandbox again and play like nobody is watching you at all. It gives you the time and the resources to do things that have no purpose except joy and nothing else whatsoever. Maybe you want to learn to paint even though you will never sell a single canvas or show anyone your work ever. Maybe you want to drive fast cars on a track even though you have no need for speed in your daily life at all. Maybe you want to travel to places just because they sound interesting, not because you have business there to attend to. These activities are not wasteful or frivolous as you might have been taught to believe growing up. They are essential to your humanity and your happiness and your connection to the child still living inside you. They remind you that life is not just about surviving and producing, but about experiencing and enjoying fully. Think about the hobbies you abandoned along the way because they cost too much or took too much time from work. Photography, music, dancing, building things, growing things, all of those passions are still inside you waiting to be rediscovered again. When you have resources, you can buy the equipment, take the lessons, make the time to pursue them fully without guilt. You can become a beginner again at something, which is a humbling and beautiful experience for anyone to have. It reminds you that you are still growing, still learning, still capable of wonder and discovery at any age. It connects you to parts of yourself that got buried under years of responsibility and obligation and shoulds. It brings color back into a world that may have gone gray without you even noticing it happening slowly. Play is the paintbrush that can restore the vibrancy of your life if you let it. Now imagine sharing that play with others and multiplying the joy exponentially through connection. Taking your family on adventures to places they have never seen and creating memories that last forever together. Building something with your hands alongside your children and teaching them skills they will carry for life. Laughing with friends over a game or a shared experience that has no purpose except fun and connection between you. Play connects us in ways that conversation cannot because it bypasses the thinking mind completely. It breaks down walls and creates memories that last forever in the hearts of everyone involved together. When you are the one who creates opportunities for play, you become a source of joy for everyone around you naturally. That role is deeply satisfying in a way that work accomplishments rarely are for anyone honestly. Play also keeps your brain young and flexible and sharp as you age through the years naturally. When you try new things, your brain creates new pathways and connections that keep it healthy and strong. When you challenge yourself in low-stakes environments, you build confidence that carries over into every area of life successfully. The person who learns to surf at 50 or paint at 60 is the same person who will adapt to new challenges in business and relationships. Play is not the opposite of work, it is the partner of work that keeps everything in balance beautifully. It keeps you sharp, curious, and engaged with the world instead of retreating from it as you age. It reminds you that learning never stops and that every day holds the potential for discovery and growth. That mindset is priceless and available to anyone who chooses to play again. This chapter is your invitation to get back in the sandbox and start playing like you used to before life got serious. To stop taking yourself so seriously and remember that laughter is medicine for the soul. To remember that fun is not a reward for hard work, it is a necessary part of being human and healthy. The wealth you are building is not just for paying bills and retiring comfortably in old age somewhere. It is for buying back the joy that got squeezed out of you by the demands of adult life over the years. It is for funding the adventures and hobbies and experiences that make life worth living every single day. So start thinking about what play looks like for you right now in this moment. What did you love doing when you were 10 years old before the world told you to grow up? That is where you should start looking for your sandbox again today. Chapter 8. The Bigger Table: How You Lift Others. There is a moment in every successful person's life when they realize they have made it beyond just surviving anymore. It is not the moment they buy the fancy car or the big house or any of the things they dreamed about having. It is the moment they are able to help someone they love without it hurting them financially at all. The moment they can pay for a parent's medication without stress or worry about their own bills waiting to be paid. The moment they can help a sibling with a down payment on a home of their own finally. The moment they can write a check for a friend in trouble and not even feel the loss of that money at all. That moment changes everything about how you see your money and its purpose in the world completely. It transforms money from something you hoard for yourself into something you share with others generously. When you build wealth, you build a bigger table with room for more people to sit around it comfortably. There is room for your parents who sacrificed so much for you to have a better life than they did. There is room for your siblings who struggled alongside you through the hard times without giving up on each other. There is room for your children who will build on the foundation you created with your blood and sweat and tears. There is room for friends who stood by you when you had nothing to offer them in return for their loyalty. You become the person who solves problems instead of the person who has problems all the time now. Your family looks at you differently with pride and gratitude instead of worry and concern about your struggles. Your friends know they can count on you when life gets hard and they need someone to lean on temporarily. You become a source of stability in a world that is often chaotic and unpredictable for everyone involved. Think about the specific people you could help right now if you had more resources available to you today. Maybe it is your mother who worked so hard for you and deserves to rest now without worry about money. Maybe it is your father who taught you everything you know and needs help with medical bills piling up. Maybe it is your child who has a dream that requires funding you cannot provide right now but want to someday. Maybe it is a friend who is stuck in a bad situation and just needs a hand to get out and start fresh again. These people are not asking you to save them completely or do everything for them forever. They just need a little boost, a little help, a little support to get back on their feet again. Being the one who can provide that boost is one of the greatest privileges life can offer anyone honestly. It fills your heart in ways that buying things for yourself never can or will. Now imagine the ripple effects of that help spreading out through the world like waves in a pond. When you lift one person, you do not just change their life, you change the lives of everyone connected to them deeply. The parent you help can then help someone else with their time or wisdom or resources eventually. The child you fund can go on to do amazing things that change the world for everyone living in it. The friend you rescue can become the person who rescues someone else down the road when they are able to. Your wealth becomes a force multiplier for good in the world, spreading far beyond what you can see or imagine. It keeps giving long after you are gone, touching people you will never even meet in your lifetime. That legacy is worth more than any amount of money you could ever leave behind in a will. It is the kind of wealth that truly lasts forever through generations. This is not about giving money away carelessly to everyone who asks without discernment or wisdom. It is about strategic generosity that creates lasting change in the lives of people you care about deeply. It is about helping people help themselves, not creating dependency that keeps them stuck and reliant on you forever. The goal is to lift others to a place where they can stand on their own and eventually lift someone else too. That is how you build a legacy that matters in the world and lasts beyond your time here. That is how you ensure that your wealth does not just die with you, but continues to grow and multiply. It becomes a living thing that keeps giving through the lives of everyone you touched with your generosity. That is the bigger table where everyone has a seat and no one goes hungry ever. Building the bigger table starts long before you have all the money you need to be truly generous with it. It starts with the mindset of generosity that you cultivate within yourself starting right now today. It starts with sharing what you have even when it is small, even when it hurts, even when you have to sacrifice something yourself. That habit of giving, that muscle of generosity, grows along with your wealth over time naturally. By the time you have real resources to share, you will already know how to use them wisely and well. You will already be the person who instinctively looks for opportunities to lift others up around you. And that person, the one with the bigger table, is the person everyone wants to be around eventually. Because everyone wants to sit at a table where there is room for them and love waiting for them when they arrive. Chapter 9. The Mirror: Finding the Real You. Who are you when nobody is watching and there is no one to perform for it all anymore? Who are you when the job title is gone and the paycheck stops coming every 2 weeks like clockwork? Who are you when you strip away all the roles you play: the parent, the spouse, the provider, the friend to everyone? Most people have no idea who they really are underneath all the layers they have built over the years. They have been so busy surviving and performing that they never had the chance to look inward deeply. They are strangers to their own souls, which is a lonely way to live even in a crowded room full of people. They go through the motions of life without ever really knowing themselves at all underneath. That is a tragedy that wealth can help you avoid if you use it wisely for self-discovery. Wealth gives you the gift of quiet and time to finally look in the mirror and ask the hard questions honestly. What do I actually enjoy doing when no one is telling me what I should enjoy at all? What do I actually believe about the world and my place in it without borrowing beliefs from others? What do I actually want from my life before it ends and I run out of time completely? These questions are not luxuries or indulgences. They are necessities for a life that feels real and meaningful. Without answers to them, you are just going through the motions, checking boxes that society gave you. You are living a life that was designed by someone else for someone else entirely. You are a stranger in your own body, and that is a painful way to exist day after day. Think about what you discover when you sit with yourself long enough to really listen to what is inside you. You might find passions you forgot about from when you were young and free, before responsibilities buried them. You might find wounds that need healing that you have been ignoring for years because you were too busy to deal with them. You might find dreams you buried because they seemed impractical or impossible to achieve realistically. All of this is gold. All of this is the raw material of a life that is truly yours alone. The more you know yourself, the better decisions you make about everything in your life. The better decisions you make, the more aligned your life becomes with your true nature and purpose. It is a virtuous cycle that keeps getting better the more you engage with it honestly. Now imagine living a life that fits you perfectly, like a custom-made suit designed just for your body. Not a life that looks good on paper to impress people at parties or family gatherings, but a life that feels good in your bones every single day from morning until night without exception. Your work matches your talents and interests perfectly, so it does not feel like work at all most days. Your relationships nourish your spirit instead of draining you with drama and demands constantly. Your daily activities bring you satisfaction instead of exhaustion because they align with who you really are. That alignment is rare in this world, but it is possible for anyone willing to do the inner work. It is the natural result of finally turning your attention inward after years of looking outward for validation. This journey of self-discovery is not always comfortable or easy by any means along the way. You might find things you do not like about yourself that need to change or be accepted as they are. You might have to make changes that upset people who are used to the old version of you completely. You might have to let go of identities that no longer serve you even though they feel familiar and safe. But on the other side of that discomfort is a freedom that cannot be bought any other way at all. It is the freedom of knowing exactly who you are and being okay with it completely. It is the freedom of not needing anyone else to define you because you have done the work yourself. You become your own authority, your own guide, your own best friend for life. The mirror does not lie to you about anything. It shows you exactly what is there without filters. It shows you your strengths and your weaknesses, your beauty and your flaws all mixed together honestly. When you have the courage to look into it deeply, you begin a relationship with yourself that will sustain you through anything. You become your own anchor in stormy seas, your own light in dark places, your own comfort when you are alone. And that relationship, more than any other, is what makes a rich life truly rich in the end. Because at the end of the day, you are the one person you can never leave or escape from ever. You might as well get to know who that person really is underneath all the layers and masks. You might as well become friends with yourself before your time runs out completely. Chapter 10. The loud voice making your dent in the universe. Everyone has something they care about deeply that stirs their soul and wakes them up inside. Something that makes them angry or sad or passionate enough to want to change it somehow. Something they wish they could change about the world to make it better for everyone living in it. For most people, that passion stays locked inside because they do not have the resources to act on it fully. They see injustice and feel helpless to do anything about it at all in reality. They see suffering and feel guilty for not being able to help those who are hurting around them. They see problems and feel overwhelmed by the scale of what needs to be fixed everywhere. The fire is there burning inside them, but there is no fuel to keep it burning bright enough to make a difference. Wealth changes that completely by giving you a louder voice that cannot be ignored by anyone anymore. It gives you the ability to fund causes you believe in with your heart and soul completely. It gives you the platform to speak up and be heard by people who would not listen before. It gives you the resources to actually do something instead of just feeling bad about what is happening around you. Your money becomes a megaphone for your values, amplifying everything you care about into the world powerfully. It projects your voice into places you could never reach on your own before now. And that voice can create real lasting change that improves lives for people you will never even meet personally. That is the power of wealth when it is used for something bigger than yourself alone. Think about the issues that make your blood boil or your heart ache when you see them in the world around you. Maybe it is children going hungry because their parents cannot afford to feed them properly anymore. Maybe it is animals being mistreated by people who should know better than to cause suffering needlessly. Maybe it is the environment being destroyed by greed and short-term thinking from those in power. Maybe it is people being denied opportunities because of where they were born or what they look like. Whatever it is, there are organizations and individuals working on it right now as you read these words. They need money to keep going, they need attention to grow, they need people like you to join the fight. When you have resources, you can be that person. You can be the one who writes the check that keeps the lights on for another year. You can be the hero that someone else has been praying for without even knowing your name yet. Now imagine using your voice not just through money, but through your own story and example too. When you have built wealth, people want to know how you did it and what you have to teach them about success. They want to hear your advice and learn from your journey and apply it to their own lives somehow. That platform gives you the chance to speak about what matters to you beyond just making money for yourself. You can inspire others to care about your causes and join you in making a difference together. You can model what it looks like to be a person who uses their success for something bigger than themselves. Your voice becomes a tool for good that reaches far beyond your immediate circle of influence. It echoes through the lives of people you touch and inspires them to pass it forward to others too. This is not about becoming a celebrity activist or forcing your views on anyone who does not want to hear them. It is simply about having the courage to stand for something in a world that often stands for nothing at all. It is about using your resources, your time, and your attention to push the world slightly in the direction you want it to go. Even small contributions add up over time to create significant change when many people make them together. Even quiet advocacy makes a difference in the hearts and minds of those who hear it eventually. The point is to stop being a passive observer of the world's problems and start being an active participant in their solutions. To stop complaining about what is wrong and start doing something to make it right somehow. To leave the world a little better than you found it when you arrived here at the beginning. The universe is vast and indifferent to your opinions and feelings about anything at all, really. It does not care whether you lived or died or what you did with your time here on Earth. But you are not the universe. You are a person with a heart and a mind and the ability to make choices every day. Those choices matter more than you can possibly imagine in the grand scheme of things. They create ripples that extend far beyond what you can see from where you are standing right now. When you use your wealth to make your dent in the universe, you are saying that your life meant something important. You are saying that you were here and you tried to leave things better than you found them for others. You are saying that you mattered and that your presence made a difference in the world somehow. That is a legacy worth building with everything you have inside you. Chapter 11. The Inheritance, Leaving More Than Money. What do you leave behind when you go from this world eventually, like everyone must someday? Most people think about this in terms of money and possessions and things they accumulated over their lifetime. The house goes to the kids to live in or sell as they see fit after you are gone. The savings get divided up according to your wishes expressed in legal documents prepared beforehand. The car gets sold or passed down to someone who needs transportation in their daily life. But if that is all you leave behind, you have not really left anything that matters at all, really. Money without meaning is just paper that gets spent and forgotten eventually by everyone. Possessions without purpose are just things that end up in landfills or sold at estate sales to strangers. The real inheritance, the one that lasts forever, is the one you cannot put in a bank account or a will at all. The real inheritance is the values you pass down to your children through your words and actions every day. The way you treated people even when no one was watching and you could have gotten away with being cruel. The lessons you taught through your example, not through lectures that went in one ear and out the other. The stories you told around the dinner table that your children will tell their children someday too. The example you set when times were hard and when times were good, showing them how to handle both gracefully. That inheritance shapes the lives of your children and grandchildren in ways that money never can or will. It becomes the foundation upon which they build their own lives and families eventually. It echoes through generations long after your money is spent and gone completely. Think about what you want people to say about you when you are gone and they gather to remember your life together. Not the formal words at a funeral that are polite and expected and often empty of real feeling, but the quiet conversations between people who knew you well when they are alone and talking honestly about you. Do you want them to say you were rich with money in the bank and possessions filling your house? Or do you want them to say you were kind and wise and generous and present for everyone who needed you? The answer to that question should guide everything you do today, starting right now in this moment. Because how you live is exactly how you will be remembered by those who knew you best. There is no separation between the life you live and the legacy you leave behind for others. They are the same thing seen from different angles by different people over time. Now imagine the conversations you can have with your children and grandchildren when you have time and peace in your life. The long walks where you share what you have learned from your successes and failures along the way. The quiet evenings where you tell stories about your own parents and grandparents, keeping their memory alive for new generations. The moments of vulnerability where you admit your mistakes and share your regrets so they can learn from them too. These conversations are the threads that weave a family together across time and distance and circumstances. They create a sense of belonging that no amount of money can ever buy for anyone at all. They connect the past to the present to the future in an unbroken chain of love and memory. They are the real inheritance that lasts forever through all the generations that follow you. Leaving more than money also means creating opportunities for future generations that you never had yourself. It means funding education so they can learn and grow and become whoever they want to be in life. It means supporting their dreams even when those dreams seem impractical or unlikely to succeed by conventional standards. It means giving them the confidence that comes from knowing someone believed in them completely without reservation. That belief, that support, that unconditional love is the greatest gift you can give anyone ever. It is the fuel that will power their own journeys long after you are gone from this earth completely. It is the wind beneath their wings that helps them fly higher than you ever could yourself. And watching them soar is the greatest reward wealth can ever give you in return. This chapter is a reminder that wealth is not just about you and your comfort and your happiness alone. It is about the line of people stretching behind you and in front of you through time forever. The ancestors who sacrificed so you could be here reading these words today in this moment. The descendants who will build on everything you leave behind when you are gone from this world. You are part of a chain, a link between past and future that connects everyone together through time. Your job is to be a strong link, one that does not break under pressure or stress or challenge. One that passes along not just resources, but wisdom, not just money, but meaning to those who come after you. That is the inheritance that truly changes everything for everyone connected to you forever. Chapter 12. The Quiet Exit, Walking Away from the Noise. Life is loud, and there is no escaping it completely, no matter how hard you try to find silence. The phones buzzing, constantly demanding attention with every notification that comes through them. The notifications pinging at all hours of the day and night, disturbing your peace regularly. The people talking all around you in stores and restaurants and on public transportation everywhere. The traffic roaring outside your window, even when you just want 5 minutes of quiet at home. Even when you are alone, there is often noise in your head, the endless chatter of thoughts and worries and plans running constantly. This noise is exhausting beyond words, draining your energy and scattering your attention everywhere. It keeps you from ever being truly present in your own life as it passes by without you noticing. Wealth gives you the ability to walk away from the noise whenever you need to recharge your batteries completely. Not permanently, maybe, because life requires engagement with the world to some degree always, but regularly enough that you can maintain your sanity and peace of mind over the long haul ahead. It gives you the resources to find quiet places hidden away from the chaos of daily existence, to create quiet moments in your schedule that are protected from intrusion by anyone or anything, to protect quiet hours where you can simply be without doing or producing or performing for anyone. You can go to a cabin in the woods where the only sound is wind in the trees whispering to you softly. You can sit on a beach and watch waves for hours without checking your phone even once during that time. Think about what happens to your mind in that quiet when the noise finally stops demanding your attention constantly. The noise fades into the background, and your own thoughts become clearer and more focused than before. Problems that seemed complicated and unsolvable become simple and manageable in the silence. Feelings that were buried deep inside rise to the surface where you can actually deal with them properly. Creativity flows because there is space for it to emerge without being crowded out by distractions. You remember who you are underneath all the roles and responsibilities you carry every day. The quiet does not just rest you, it restores you to yourself in ways nothing else can. It brings you back home to the person you were before the world got so loud and demanding. Now imagine being able to share that quiet with someone you love without words getting in the way at all. Sitting together without needing to talk because the silence itself is comfortable between you. Walking together without needing to go anywhere specific, just moving through space side by side peacefully. Just being present in the same space, comfortable in the silence that surrounds you both completely. That intimacy is rare and precious in this world, where everyone is always talking over each other constantly. It is only possible when both people have moved past the need to fill every moment with activity and conversation. It is the reward for slowing down enough to actually notice the person beside you for once. It is the gift that wealth gives you when it buys you enough time to be still with someone you love. The ability to exit the noise also means you can choose when to re-enter it on your own terms completely. You can engage with the world when you are ready instead of being dragged along by its current constantly. You can show up fully present because you have been fully rested and restored by your time away from it all. You can give your best to the moments that matter because you have protected yourself from the moments that do not. That control over your own attention is one of the most valuable things wealth can buy for you ever. It is the difference between being used by the world and using your time in the world intentionally and wisely. It is the difference between living reactively and living proactively with purpose guiding your choices. It is the difference between surviving and thriving in a world that never stops screaming for your attention. This chapter is an invitation to start building quiet into your life right now, not someday when you have more money or time. You do not need a cabin in the woods or a beach somewhere to begin this practice today. You just need to start protecting small pockets of silence in your daily routine wherever you are. Turn off your phone for an hour and notice how your nervous system responds to the relief of it. Sit outside without a screen and watch the world move around you without participating in it for once. Take a walk without headphones and listen to the sounds of nature instead of music or podcasts constantly. These small practices train your mind to appreciate quiet and prepare you for the deeper peace that wealth will eventually provide. The quiet exit is waiting for you patiently. You just have to start walking toward it one step at a time. Chapter 13. The Daily Choice: Staying Rich in a World of Worry. Building wealth is hard work that requires sacrifice and discipline and patience over many years usually. Staying wealthy in your mind is even harder than building it in the first place honestly. The world is designed to make you worried about everything all the time without relief or rest ever. The news is full of disasters and tragedies and things to be afraid of constantly. The economy goes up and down in cycles that no one can predict or control completely ever. People lose jobs and businesses fail and fortunes disappear overnight sometimes for reasons beyond anyone's control. Friends and family have their own struggles that can pull you into worry and anxiety about them too. If you are not careful, you can be rich in the bank and poor in your heart, constantly anxious about losing everything you built. Staying rich requires a daily choice that you make every single morning when you wake up to face the day. It requires you to wake up every morning and decide that you will not let fear steal your peace today, no matter what. It requires you to look at the news and remember that most of it has nothing to do with you personally at all. It requires you to watch the market fluctuate without panicking and making stupid decisions based on fear. It requires you to trust yourself and your ability to handle whatever comes your way eventually. That choice is not automatic for anyone. It is a discipline that must be practiced regularly. It is a muscle you have to exercise every day to keep it strong and ready when you need it most. Without that daily choice, the worry will creep back in and rob you of everything you worked so hard to build. Think about the mindset of someone who stays rich for life, not just financially, but in every way that matters. They are not lucky, they are intentional about how they think and what they focus their attention on daily. They do not get swept up in every crisis because they have perspective gained from years of experience. They have been through ups and downs before and know that both are temporary and will pass eventually. They focus on what they can control and let go of what they cannot with grace and acceptance. They do not waste energy worrying about things that may never happen in reality at all. They put that energy into building and creating and enjoying what they already have instead. That mindset is available to anyone willing to practice it consistently over time. Now imagine what it feels like to move through the world with that kind of calm confidence every single day. To watch others panic around you while you remain steady and grounded in your own peace completely. To see opportunities where others see only problems because your mind is clear enough to recognize them. To sleep soundly at night knowing that whatever tomorrow brings you have the resources to handle it well. To wake up excited about the day instead of dreading what might go wrong next. That is the reward for making the daily choice to stay rich in your mind and heart always. That is the freedom that wealth was supposed to give you in the first place before worry stole it away. That is the peace that passes all understanding and cannot be taken from you by anyone. This daily choice is not complicated, but it is not easy either because the world will test you constantly. The news will try to scare you with stories designed to keep you watching and clicking and worrying. The people around you will share their fears and anxieties, hoping you will join them in their panic. The market will fluctuate, and your portfolio will go down, sometimes testing your resolve to stay calm. Your own mind will generate worst-case scenarios based on old survival instincts that no longer serve you. But every single day, you get to choose again whether you will let worry win or keep your peace intact. You get to decide what you focus on, what you believe, and how you respond to everything happening around you. That choice is yours alone, and no one can make it for you ever. The practice of staying rich in your mind is like exercise for your soul, strengthening you over time. Each time you choose peace over panic, you build the muscle that will serve you in the next crisis. Each time you refuse to worry about things you cannot control, you free up energy for things you can. Each time you focus on gratitude for what you have instead of fear of losing it, you multiply your joy. Over time, these choices become habits, and these habits become character, and this character becomes your life. You become the person who cannot be shaken by circumstances because your foundation is solid underneath you. You become the person who stays rich no matter what happens in the world around you. And that person is free in ways that money alone can never make you. Chapter 14. The Dream You Forgot, Revisiting Your Childhood Wish. What did you tell the mirror you wanted to be when you were 10 years old and full of dreams? Before the world told you what was practical and possible and realistic for someone like you. Before you learned to dim your light and shrink your dreams to fit into boxes others built for you. Before bills and responsibilities and the opinions of others shaped what you believed was possible for your life. That child had dreams that came straight from their heart without filters or editing or second guessing. They knew what they loved and what excited them and what made them feel most alive inside. Somewhere along the way, those dreams got buried under layers of shoulds and have-tos and practical considerations. But they are still there waiting to be rediscovered when you have the time and resources to dig them up again. Wealth gives you the ability to go back and grab that old dream you left on the shelf years ago. The one you abandoned because it seemed impractical or impossible or not serious enough for an adult to pursue. The one that made your heart sing but your head shake with doubt about whether it could ever work out. With resources, you can explore that dream without risking your survival or security in the process. You can take a class, buy the equipment, make the time to see if the spark is still there burning inside you. You can be that child again for a few hours a week, pursuing something just because you love it. That is not frivolous or wasteful. It is essential to staying alive inside as you age through the years. It connects you to your authentic self before the world got its hands on you and tried to make you like everyone else. Think about what that dream was and let yourself remember the details as clearly as you can right now. Maybe you wanted to be an artist painting pictures that moved people's hearts and souls deeply. Maybe you wanted to be a musician creating sounds that made people feel something beautiful inside. Maybe you wanted to be an astronaut exploring worlds beyond this one and seeing Earth from far away. Maybe you wanted to be a writer telling stories that would be read for generations after you were gone. Whatever it was, it came from a pure place inside you before you learned to doubt yourself and your worth. That place is still there waiting for you to return and pick up where you left off so long ago. It has not gone anywhere, it has just been waiting patiently for you to remember it again. Now imagine what it feels like to pursue that dream, even just as a hobby on weekends or evenings sometimes. To create something with your own hands that did not exist before you imagined it into being. To play music that fills a room with sound and emotion and reminds you that you are alive still. To write words that express what is in your heart and maybe touch someone else's heart along the way. To do something purely for the joy of it without any expectation of money or recognition or success attached. That feeling is priceless and cannot be bought any other way except by giving yourself permission to play again. It reminds you that you are more than your job title and your bank account and your responsibilities. It reminds you that you are a creative being capable of bringing new things into existence. The dream you forgot is not dead, it has just been sleeping waiting for you to wake it up again. It is like a seed buried in the ground waiting for sunlight and water to help it grow again. The wealth you are building can provide that sunlight and water in the form of time and resources to pursue it. You do not have to quit your job or abandon your responsibilities to make room for it in your life. You just have to give it a little space, a little attention, a little love, and see what happens next. You might find that it grows into something bigger than you ever imagined possible for yourself. You might find that it becomes a source of income or a second career or a whole new life direction entirely. Or you might just find that it makes you happy, and that is enough reason to do it all by itself. This chapter is your permission to go find that dream and see if it still fits you after all these years. To dig through the attic of your memory and pull out the box where you stored it long ago. To dust it off and hold it up to the light and remember why you loved it so much in the first place. To give yourself the gift of pursuing something just because it makes you feel alive and connected to yourself. The child you were is still inside you, cheering for you to remember what they always knew was true. They knew that you were meant for more than just surviving and paying bills and fitting in with everyone else. They knew that your heart had dreams that were worth chasing no matter what anyone said. It is time to listen to that child again and let them lead you back to yourself. Chapter 15. The Sunset, Looking Back Without Flinching. The final vision of this book is you sitting somewhere beautiful watching the sun go down slowly. Maybe on a porch overlooking water or mountains, or just your own backyard that you made beautiful over the years. The day is ending, and with it, another chapter of your life closes peacefully and naturally. You are not worried about tomorrow or regretting yesterday because you have learned to live in the present moment fully. Your body is comfortable, your mind is calm, your heart is full of gratitude for everything that brought you here. You have lived a life that was fully yours, not a copy of someone else's dreams and expectations. You have loved and been loved, you have built and created, you have grown and learned along the way. And now, as the sun sets, you get to simply be present with all of it without any need for more. This moment is what we have been building toward through every chapter of this book together. Not just the money and the things money can buy, but the peace that comes from knowing you lived well. The satisfaction of looking back and seeing a life that was meaningful and authentic and fully yours alone. The quiet confidence of knowing you handled what came your way with grace and strength and wisdom. The deep contentment of relationships that lasted because you showed up for them when it mattered most. The joy of dreams pursued and fulfilled, and sometimes even exceeded beyond what you imagined possible. The freedom of regrets that are few and small and easily forgiven by yourself and others. This is what being rich really means when you strip away all the surface definitions and get to the heart of it. Think about what you want to see when you look back from that sunset moment years from now. What memories do you want to have accumulated along the way through all the seasons of your life? What relationships do you want to have nurtured and protected and celebrated through thick and thin together? What accomplishments do you want to point to with pride knowing you gave them everything you had inside you? What challenges do you want to have overcome that made you stronger and wiser and more compassionate toward others? What moments of pure joy do you want to carry in your heart like precious jewels that cannot be taken from you? The answers to these questions should guide your choices today, starting right now in this moment. Because the sunset is coming for all of us eventually, and how we spend our days is how we spend our lives completely. Now imagine that your younger self could see you sitting there at the sunset of your life. What would they think about the person you became and the life you built along the way? Would they be proud of you for holding on to your dreams even when it was hard to believe in them? Would they be grateful for the sacrifices you made so they could have a better future ahead of them? Would they recognize themselves in you, or have you become a stranger to the person you started as? The goal is to live in such a way that your younger self would be excited to meet the person you became. To live with such integrity and courage that you never have to hide from who you used to be. To become someone your younger self would look up to and admire and want to emulate fully. That is the measure of a life well lived, in my opinion, and I hope in yours too. The sunset is not something to fear, but something to prepare for with intention and love and care. It is the natural conclusion to a day well spent, and a life well lived in every way that matters. When you have built wealth in all its forms, financial, relational, spiritual, and emotional, you can face it without flinching. You can look back and see a tapestry woven with threads of joy and sorrow, success and failure, love and loss. And you can see that it all came together to create something beautiful that was uniquely yours alone. No one else could have lived your life or made your choices or walked your path for you. You did that yourself with the resources you had and the heart you brought to every moment. And now as the sun sets, you can rest knowing that you did enough, you were enough, you mattered completely. This book has been an invitation to imagine that sunset and then build the life that leads to it with intention. Not someday, but starting today with the choices you make and the actions you take from this moment forward. The quiet morning, the safety net, the healthy body, the loving relationships, the peaceful home, the freedom from people-pleasing. The play, the generosity, the self-discovery, the voice, the legacy, the quiet exit, the daily choice. The dream you forgot, and the sunset that awaits you at the end of it all. All of this is available to you if you are willing to imagine it and then work toward it consistently over time. The door is open, the path is lit, the way forward is clear enough to take the first step. All that remains is for you to decide that you are ready to walk through and never look back at the life you are leaving behind. Conclusion: the key is already in your pocket. You have made it to the end of this book, but you are really just at the beginning of your journey. Everything you have read here is useless unless you take it and do something with it starting now. The imagination we exercised together, the dreams we explored, the possibilities we opened up, all of it is waiting for you to act. You have the key already in your pocket, you just have to reach in and pull it out and use it to open the door. That key is your desire for more, your refusal to settle, your belief that you deserve a rich life in every way. No one can hand you that key, and no one can take it away from you either. It is yours alone, and what you do with it is entirely up to you from this moment forward. The tomorrow we imagine together is waiting for you to build it one choice at a time, starting right now. It will not build itself, and it will not fall into your lap while you wait for luck to find you eventually. You have to build it with your hands and your mind, and your heart fully engaged in the process. But you do not have to build it alone, because the path is well worn by those who went before you. The principles are clear, the steps are simple, the rewards are real for those who persist through the challenges. So take a deep breath, feel the key in your pocket, and take the first step toward the life you imagined. The sunset is waiting, and the view from there will be worth every step of the journey getting there. Go build your rich life now, because tomorrow is not promised, but today is yours completely.